Hypnotherapy works with the subconscious mind. In the subconscious mind, we store all of our beliefs, all of our experiences, all of our memories. The subconscious mind does not reason with time. Time is not a thing. It's everything is now. So everything that we experience, every time that any trauma or any experience or belief gets triggered, it's as if it's happening now. It's not bringing up an old memory. It's living in us in this moment. And that's why we feel so frozen, or whatever our nervous system does in those instances. That's where the trigger comes from. Our subconscious mind doesn't sleep. Everything is. There's no negatives and no positives. It just is. So it's also the most powerful and lasting way to make change.
Hello, and welcome to all of you beautiful souls. Thank you for tuning in today to the Heart of Soul podcast, Earthly Nova on YouTube. My name is Amana, and I'm so happy that you're here. I invite you to sync to the cycles of the moon with me with new episodes on full and new moons. This is a space where we explore what it means to be wild women walking upon this earth, remembering how to turn inward to our innate inner knowings, unearthing that which is often unseen and unspoken. Together we practice using our voices in the ancient ritual of storytelling, connecting about that which unites us as we share our stories of birth, life, and death, honoring how both we and our stories shift across time. It is my hope that soaking in these stories will bring you closer to your own inner compass and center you into a more embodied, alive version of your beautiful, unique self. Today, as we sit recording this, it's June 19th, 2023, and the moon is waxing crescent in Cancer. I'm currently on call for a birth right now, which always feels a bit cosmic for me, leaning into that unknown of this liminal in-between time, knowing that I could be called forth to be at this birth at any moment. Today, I have Liva Nayeli with me here today through the cosmos on Zoom. I have known Liva for almost 9 years now. I first laid eyes on her at a beautiful goddess gathering and felt an instant, deep cosmic connection. Over the years, we have continued to gather in circle, in nature, in community with one another, and I'm feeling the emotion coming from this little part I want to share. About after I birthed my son, Odin, I remember her coming over to offer her healing energy to me. And the way she cupped my heart, one hand on the front and one on the back, underneath, and how just impactful that sacred touch and healing energy was for me. Liva is a certified hypnotherapist, energy healer, mother, and just so much more. And I am so grateful to have her here with me today to share her wisdom and presence. So, Liva, I would love for you to just, begin by introducing yourself in whatever way feels good to you.
Thank you so much. That was emotional and beautiful. Thank you for that acknowledgement. That was a really beautiful moment that we got to share, and I felt really super honored to be there in your sacred space, very close to your birth. So thank you for your trust and your just beautiful connection. I love you, sister. I feel very honored to be here today. I would love to share with you what I'm doing and how I got here and where I'm going. My name is Liva Nayeli. I'm a mother of 3 girls, 16, 14, and 10. They're incredible and in many ways my way showers, my teachers. I have been in the healing arts for a good 25 years now. Sharing and utilizing so many different methods and techniques. I love what I do. I feel really passionate about helping others remember and guide themselves back to the truth and their nature and their connection with and oneness with nature and all things. I guess I could just begin with how I got into hypnotherapy. I currently rebranded my whole healing practice to gear towards hypnotherapy. I'm just literally on fire for this therapy and this medicine. It's so effective and so accessible for everyone, and profoundly transformational. I myself received hypnotherapy the first time I was 28 years old and pregnant with my first child that I gave birth to. And I went to a woman that I had met multiple times, and she offered it to me. I went with the intention of clearing anything that might be there for me in the way of having the experience of birth that I intended and desired. I myself was adopted at 2 days old, so brought up and grown in the womb of a woman, a very, very young woman, 16 years old, with all of those emotions and feelings of what was coming for her, knowing that she couldn't keep me. And so I was very interested to see where this could lead, what could come up, and really wanting to just clear my own path for just the beautiful birth that I wanted to experience with my daughter. So um, it was very successful. It was a very powerful session. I went to the time of my own birth and literally kind of observed my mother and my grandmother in the delivery room. Had a transformative experience with that, kind of rewrote a little bit of that experience. And my birth with my first child was so perfect. It was short, about 8 or 9 hours. It was beautiful. There was no complications. I was at home in a tub in my living room, surrounded by people I loved. She came pretty effortlessly, and it was such a blessing. So fast forward, let's see, 14 years, no,
13 years later.
13 or 14 years, I met with a friend. Synchronistically, I had just, watched a short film and it had hypnotherapy in it. And I was like, but it was, of course, like a thriller. So it wasn't,
Yeah.
it kind of got my brain thinking. And then I ran into a friend and she was like, I just had this experience. I had hypnotherapy. It changed my life. This is what happened. And I was like, wow. Okay. And it just kind of kept coming up. And it just so happened that she had, the woman that she had received it from was a trainer. And so I got a session from her that was very profound and beautiful. And then I just went right into the program. I knew that it was my next step. It was the thing that I wanted to do next and add to my medicine basket, my satchel of tools. And so here I am.
Yes. Wow. What a way to enter offering that to other people. I feel like that's it's similar to like my paths too, of things of like experiencing something ourselves and then myself, and then knowing, oh, well, I want to be able to offer this to others too. And then diving deeper and understanding it on these other levels. For you, what I wonder if there are any like experiences or stories you can share of specific maybe reasons why people might come to you, and then how the hypnotherapy and like maybe even what a session, like what does that involve? What does that look like for a person who's never experienced one?
I would. So the beautiful part about the training that I took and the woman that I learned under was that she has created this program that is so complete. I received so much work in that time that was so deeply transformative for me, breaking through barriers that I didn't even know I had.
Mm-hmm.
So because I've received so much of it, it's like, and in every way, there are just vast numbers of access, a different reasons why you would receive this therapy. I work with addiction. I work with anxiety and depression is another reason. Phobias. I work with past life regression. I do kind of goal creating. I do what's called parts therapy. When we're in our life in a place where we know we want to achieve something, we want to get there, we just don't take the steps. We even know the steps. We see the steps. We know how to get there, but we just can't. It's like paralyzation almost. We just can't move forward. So when there are parts of ourselves that are not on board with that, it's hard to move forward. And so that's what parts therapy is for. I will start with what hypnotherapy is really. Hypnotherapy works with the subconscious mind. In the subconscious mind, we store all of our beliefs, all of our experiences, all of our memories. The subconscious mind does not reason with time. Time is not a thing. It's everything is now. So everything that we experience, every time that any trauma or any experience or belief gets triggered, it's as if it's happening now. It's not bringing up an old memory. It's living in us in this moment. And that's why we feel so frozen or, whatever our nervous system does in those instances, that's where the trigger comes from. Our subconscious mind doesn't sleep. Everything is. There's no negatives and no positives. It just is. So it's also the most powerful and lasting way to make change. In hypnotherapy, I do what's called an induction. It's just a gentle guidance into a deep level state of relaxation to where we can bypass that critical factor, which is part of our conscious mind that's like, no, you know what happened with, when that happens, no, we don't agree with that. We do agree with this. We don't, right? It's always working unless we sleep. So in that state of deep relaxation, it creates like an opening into our subconscious mind where we can take information or put new information in. And I liken it to surgery. It's like you go in, you get a new knee, you leave, and you're a new person. You can do things that you couldn't do before when you got there. That it's very similar to that. Yeah. Do you have any questions about that? I can say more, but I want to make sure that I'm being clear.
So the person that you're working with is in sort of a meditative state. And then once they're in that state, then you do some work together and then you pull them back out at the end, or how does that flow?
So let's use an example of a phobia. Someone comes in, they have a fear of something in their life, fear of the dark, fear of speaking in front of people, of asking their boss for a raise, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come in, we have a short interview to just get an idea of what's going on when it's happening in their life. I do an induction and they just allow themselves to get into a relaxed state. From then, I guide them to a place in their body or in their mind a memory that triggers that phobia. And first of all, our subconscious mind always is there to support us. It wants to and is ready to give and receive everything that's needed. And so we go to that memory, they experience it, and oftentimes a rewrite happens. So something happened that triggered a fear in us and created a belief that's not allowing us to enjoy something in our life or to achieve something in our life. We can, through this therapy, go in and rewrite that experience, which after that's the reality. That's how it lives in our body. Oftentimes also we'll create what's called a kinesthetic signal to recreate that experience that we have in that deep meditative state. It also creates a new neural pathway in our minds. So every time we do the signal in our conscious waking life, it just strengthens that new neural pathway, and it just keeps recreating that new reality that we've created in that state.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the person that is going through the experience, do they remember every moment afterwards?
Mhm. So
Mhm.
being in a trance state, you're very alert. If any, you hear all the sounds, if anything were to happen, you would just get up and take care of it. You're fully in control. The other thing about it is that our conscious mind is always, when we're awake, it's awake. It's there. So if I suggest something that your conscious mind is like, I don't think so, you won't receive it. So it's really guided by the client and whoever is doing the work.
Mhm. And is touch any part of this, or are you not touching at all in this
It
scenario?
can be. I'm currently just doing remote sessions at this time.
Mhm.
I'm not laying my
So
hands.
virtually.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. That was going to be one of my other questions was
Yeah.
like, can this be done virtually? Yeah.
Yeah, which is great because after you go through a transformative experience like that, I tend to like just sit in my car for a long time to kind of like get myself ready to go back out in the world if I'm receiving it at someone's space.
Mhm.
But virtually, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna make myself a little nest and nurture myself back to whatever after I'm finished, which is really lovely way to experience it.
Yeah. Do you find that people often like things are resolved in one session or 3 sessions, 8 sessions? I know that I'm sure there's some variety, but is there a pattern that you have seen?
I would say it really depends on the person. I think how I describe this for myself is that the more I do the work, the more layers I pull down. It's kind of like an onion. People have used that analogy.
Mhm.
Every layer that I take off of myself that's not really me, it's an armor protecting me. Every
Mhm.
layer that I break down reveals something else. So if you can imagine, everything is connected in us, right? Everything that we experience, it's all connected. All our experiences, all our past, all our future, all of our relationships, everything, right? So yes, things can be resolved in one session. If we're dealing with a 20-year addiction that you've had an issue with, then there are other parts of us that need. So, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that some things impact all of our parts. Other things are just like, it's really specific. It's just this. It's just this area of my life. It's this one thing, you know. So, it really depends on the person and how far they want to take it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the specific thing because, yeah, like you're saying, some things could be so intertwined where once you pull one thread or layer that then it reveals something else that also needs some attention or, they might desire it there into the next thing until they feel a sense of completion.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for myself too, I kind of it's kind of a drug for me. Like it's an addiction. I love it. I love the sense of freedom that I get.
Mhm.
It's like when something comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a session because I love that experience. It's like there's no limit.
Yeah, I mean, healing is open-ended and endless, right? Like,
Exactly.
and we're always having also new experiences that might later need healing as
Yeah.
humans. Like, I don't feel like we're ever also done having those challenging experiences because they're just part of being human.
Yes. I absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's nowhere to get, right? It's like this is a journey and it's magical if we let it be. We can just keep experiencing it and
Mm,
newly every time and
yeah.
see where and
And
what we become. Yeah.
and how long are sessions?
Um, Technically they're around an hour. I've done a few that are longer and I've done some that are shorter. It really depends on your ability to get to that place of um accessibility, I guess. Just that some people practice meditation, some people go in and out of trance very easily, and some people are resistant. And so that is mostly, I think, what takes the time. Yeah. Sometimes past life sessions can take a little longer. As well as I do what's called Gestalt therapy. It's a way to connect with someone that you have adversity with that you can't resolve in real life. It could be someone that's passed, it could be someone that's here, just creating that space where you can kind of get resolve within yourself. So and sometimes those take a little longer, depending
Wow.
on the person.
Yeah, that I've not heard of that before. I can imagine how useful that would
So
be. Yes. And before we were talking a little bit about, so, I'm in the realm of like birthing and deathing are like my two big passions and celebrating those parts of our lives. And I know that you spoke a little bit about how this could be useful, in how it was useful for your own pregnancy. And then also, if you could speak a little bit to maybe other ways it might be useful in pregnancy, in postpartum, in mothering.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Um, yeah, so my experience that I shared with you was definitely profound for me. It definitely made a huge difference. I think that we all, on a subconscious level, probably have fears or things that come up around birthing a child, growing a child, knowing what to do, how to care for that child, especially being new mothers. So I think in one way that hypnotherapy can help expecting mothers is like I did, kind of just going with the intention of, what's here, what can I clear, this is my goal, this is the experience I want to have, and taking that approach. Another way to utilize hypnotherapy is to directly connect with your baby's energy and spirit. So you can go and connect with that entity that you're growing in your body and really create a bond and a connection on a deeper level. As well as just, another way I utilize hypnotherapy is to communicate with different parts of our body. So kind of venturing into our body and communicating what's needed here, what's not needed, what's out of balance, what is not, and what's in balance, and how can I support this balance? What is my body needing to go through this transformation of growing a human life within me? Um, like I had said before, pain management, there's so many ways. Another great way is to, if, say you've had a tough experience giving birth previously. Maybe you were in the hospital and things didn't go the way you'd like, or maybe who knows? There's so many.
I mean, birth right now in this country is just women. There's medical obstetrical violence and rape happening during births every day.
Exactly.
And women, I mean, of course, I want those things not to be happening, but I also think it's important for the women that those things have happened to, that they have pathways to healing, and this is one for them.
Which is actually one thing I was just going to speak to. I also, over the years, have offered womb healing women's circles. So we come together and kind of work through the traumas that we've experienced in our womb space, in our sacred flower of life space. um, so that's another way to utilize this, preparing yourself to have a child. Maybe you're not even pregnant yet, and you know that there's things that you really want to clear and heal and transform in yourself and come back to that place of just centered knowing and health and vibrancy. That's another way to utilize this therapy. As far as postpartum, a lot of people go through an intense chemical imbalance after they have their baby. A lot of women that birth in hospitals don't have the experience of being able to connect with their baby right away. And so there's just really endless opportunities to heal those bonds, heal those moments, and recreate a connection. As far as baby and mama, and again, were there the tragic loss of a child, which I actually doula just recently, a birth of a child that was stillborn. That's an opportunity to kind of really venture in there and create healing, connect with that entity and that life that has passed and whatnot. So, and as you were speaking about death, I utilize it in that way too. I've done a lot of work with people preparing to die over the years. And so I definitely have a passion for that, kind of just entering and leaving, those two really profound and just major events in our lives. So yeah, I feel that there's a lot of opportunity to clear and prepare ourselves to leave our bodies and wrap things up, so to speak. So
yeah, those transformative like portals, birth and death.
mm-hmm.
We all experience them both. Yeah. What is something that maybe you didn't know about hypnotherapy, or that you think other people maybe should know that they wouldn't normally know about it?
That's a great question. I think probably a commonly asked question is, am I hypnotizable? So yes, everyone mostly is. Like I said, though, it is up to the person. If they have a fear, or they don't want to. That's something that we work with previous to the session. There are a lot of ways to work around that. If you think about it, hypnosis is every time you have a focused attention. So watching television. If you're watching, your subconscious mind does not know the difference between something that's happening that's creating an emotional experience for you and you being that person that's doing it. So that's something that happens all the time. Have you ever driven in your car and gotten to the place and been like, I don't know how I got here, but I did. That's another, just sitting in your car and thinking about something else. You're somewhere else and you're here. That's it. That's a very simple way to describe hypnosis. It's like we're constantly putting ourselves, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It's we allow it and we create it and so yeah. So as far as questions, I think that there's a lot of media, there's people that use it for entertainment and make it look like they're controlling the subject, which isn't true. They're very, very willing to be suggestible, and that's what it takes to do that sort of a thing. So
And this session is like you're talking, and is the client also talking? Do people cry in sessions, laugh, other emotions? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so absolutely. We are interacting. And once you get to that state and enter that space, wherever your subconscious is taking us to heal this particular area of your life, there's interaction that happens. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'll ask questions or just ask the person to describe what's happening or what's around them, how they're feeling. I might ask where you feel it in your body, what you're needing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so sometimes there's like a clear knowing of like the story or like the trauma that a person's going back to, or a specific part of your body. But are there other sessions where you're sort of going in together, but you don't know exactly where it's headed?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mostly that's mostly what I experience. Yeah. People are unsure as to where it comes from.
And sometimes surprised about where something might be held,
or just surprised that they remember a memory or that they didn't remember that memory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned, I forget the way that you termed it, but something about like eating
disorders, or
maybe eating disorders, or weight
Oh,
management.
weight mastery.
Mastery. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm curious for you to share more about that and how that's maybe different than other types, or how
So
you work
when
with
I
people.
work with someone intending to lose weight or stop behaving a certain way with food, change to that wants to transform their experience with food, or maybe
Mhm,
transform their experience with their body.
mhm,
It's oftentimes a combination of a lot of things.
mhm.
It tends to be more of a program. And each person it's different. It, because
So
the
what does
classes,
program mean in this
meaning,
constellation?
meaning having a series of sessions, including your own work at home, kind of a created, charting things, journaling, creating an exercise regimen for yourself, um, connecting with other people, maybe creating connections with people that are going through the same transformation, wanting to lose weight or wanting to achieve weight mastery, you know.
Mm,
Um, yeah, there. So, and like I said, because every person's reason is so intricately different,
mhm.
the approach is very different, and what sessions we do, why we do them, it just depends on the individual. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that, because like in the mentorship, sistership work that I do with women, it's so people are like, yeah, what do you do? And I'm like, it really depends on each woman, like, and where they're coming to me from. Like, I'm gonna, mentor, sistership, support people differently if they have already had 3 babies and all at home, or one in the hospital, or you're different than someone who's only had C-sections or has never had a baby. Like, we're gonna have different dialogue and different ways of interacting. So I totally get this, that it's so
Yeah. Each of
individualized.
those women have a different relationship with their experience, right? It's like you can't even lump together the people that have this kind of experience because it's just so intricately different, right? We're all wired different. We've all grown up differently. We've all had different experiences and views of ourselves, views of life. So it's what keeps it exciting, I learn with every person that I connect with. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we're all unique and changing all the time as well. Mhm.
another thing I'm passionate about is working with other adoptees and adopting families because I had the experience of, I know you do a lot of work with birth and this is like, I think for myself, the reason I'm so driven and so inspired by the healing arts is because I came into the world without having that connection
Yeah,
to
you had that primal wound, right? That's what they call it, that separation from your mother. Yeah.
And so, I mean, my journey in this life has been seeking that answer to reconnect those parts of me, right? It's like, and so that that piece for me really altered everything in my life when I finally was able to, and it was years, it was a lifetime basically of healing that, and finding different ways. But I will say that once I experienced and allowed myself to go there in this therapy, it altered things in a way that it could never be the same. I have physical experiences when I receive this work. Sometimes my body will vibrate. Sometimes I'll have such a strong physical experience when things are altering on a cellular level in that space, in that trance state. Um, it's really beautiful, and it's changed everything for me. So I feel really inspired and excited to offer that um, freedom and that reconnection to other children and adults that have been adopted that have had and for any reason have that core wound where we didn't have that connection. We never like cell on a cellular level never connected with our mothers, and that's a big deal. So
That's a
I
huge
know a
deal.
lot more about that. And
I mean, yeah, that's so huge. And I'm so glad that you are, working with people in this way. And I am curious. I mean, you just sort of spoke to how it's been transformative for you, the having this hypnotherapy work with your adoption wound and that primal wound. Are there any specific, like, one or two things you can name that you like noticed that were different before and after for you? Like ways of interacting, or I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, definitely. It's hard to pinpoint because I've had so much work. Like I've received so many sessions, but I know, I remember a moment when it was just so clear how newly I was interacting with everything, not just people, not just scenarios, circumstances, just not just myself, but all of those things, like a literal like altercation that happened that I've never experienced it the same again. So, more specifically with myself, I would say absolutely shedded a level of kind of critical thinking about myself.
Mm-hmm.
That is like night and day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And effortless too.
Wow.
It's like a fish hook is hooked in and then you let it out and you could still feel it there, but it's not there anymore. And so you're like, oh, weird. I'm not hooked to this thing anymore. Like I'm free, And so you're surprised every time how free you are. I would say as far as presenting my offering, it's altered that. My ability to speak highly of what I do and how I do it and just myself, period.
Wow.
So my confidence has changed drastically. My desire to share more about myself and my life and what I do. Just the level of which I experience being at ease with people. And I just recently did an event for a place called Harmony Woods Retreat Center here in Spokane. And that was really neat. It was my first time vending because I'm not selling anything, but I'm just offering my services and it was really fun. The experience that I had was like no other that I'd ever really allowed myself to be fully in my element, sharing about something I'm on fire about and connecting with people. It was beautiful. It was really neat. So I would just say overall, like just a very elevated level of joy and ability to deeply enjoy my life, even
Oh,
more than ever before. So,
wow.
yeah. And I'm free. I feel free. And that's the biggest piece.
That is so needed in the world, in people, in women. Mm.
Yeah, it's available. It literally is just a willingness and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to
Yeah.
know. It's just like, yeah, I want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were talking, I was thinking a little bit about, so a lot of the work or a lot of things that end up coming up with the women that I provide sistership support to is like, are like boundaries and like finding their own inner voice, their inner authority. And when you were speaking about this, it made me think that you probably also do some of this. So yeah, I'm curious if you work specifically on those things with women and what that might look like.
I do. I do. Like I said, I do work with people on relationships. So relationships are just such a huge part of our life. I mean, and there are just so many levels and different ways that we relate, right? So like I said before, I work with people with phobias. Maybe you want to speak up at work and you want to say your ideas. Maybe you want to share, whatever, or maybe you want to say something to your boss. I work with women and men, anyone that has those issues. As far as boundaries, I would say for myself, they just kind of altered when I healed those traumatic experiences that kind of created let's see, how would I put this? A lack of self-expression, a lack of freedom around my own self-expression. When
Mhm.
I when I knowingly, that's what I feel stifled. I want to feel powerful in this area because I know I am, right? Going in with that intention, I would say would absolutely create an altered experience of yourself in that situation in life. Where you, as far as boundaries, the more we come back to ourselves, the more natural it is to protect ourselves.
Mhm.
So it can happen, with the intention of coming in and saying, I need to create clear boundaries. And you know, this is my goal for this session. And it can also happen just, yeah,
That's part of the experience. Yeah.
yeah. And I explain after a session, after a really just life altering session, you're just like, wow, that was a deep wound. That was like a core thing that I just transformed. As you get out and begin to move around in your life again, because we've created new neural pathways that are strengthening as we continue forward and continue to use that new reality, you'll begin to notice a difference in how you react and how you approach things from before. And it just continues to like trickle out. Like
Yeah,
it,
like the ripple effects.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So,
Wonderful.
does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, the therapies that I use the most are a lot of times, we're trying to get somewhere and we just can't get there. We want a goal and we can't reach it. I utilized a number of different therapies to work with people with that. I would say relationships are a really big one, making big life decisions. Yeah. I mean, weight loss, obviously, addiction. I do a lot of addiction. A lot of people are interested in past life regressions. It
Mhm.
can
I
be,
love that people are becoming more aware of that as like a
I
possibility
do
now.
too. I do too. And I want to talk a little bit about that because it doesn't always have to be a trauma. It doesn't
Right.
have to be going back to a lifetime that created this trauma for your life or for your,
Yeah.
um,
Can you also maybe define what a past life regression is for people who might be listening and be like, what even is that?
yeah. And the thing is, too, honestly, because not everyone, I don't think we all are like, yes, this for sure exists. I can't prove it, but it does. I believe it. Not everybody has that belief. So I would say it's maybe not for everyone, but everyone has
I
access.
don't think anything is for everyone, right? Like, so yeah.
Everyone has access to it, however.
Mhm.
Even though we have conscious beliefs, like our subconscious is just like, I'm gonna take you where I'm gonna take you. It's pretty cool. So a past life regression, like I was explaining, you can go back to a lifetime having the intention to heal something that is impacting your life today. You can also go back to a past life to glean creativity, a strength, a a talent that you had in that lifetime and bring that into your body into this current lifetime. You can just do it to see, hey, I want to know who in my lifetime this time has been with me before and what roles have they played. And so how that would go is just a typical hypnotherapy session where I do the trance, I do the induction and you go into the trance, and then we just go to a place, another lifetime, that blah blah blah, whatever your goal is, whatever your intended outcome is. And you can visit that place. Another really fun, and I don't know why I'm sharing this, I just think it's so fun. Another really fun exercise to do is like you go into that state, travel, say down a hallway to a room full of doors, and they're all closets. So you choose the closet that calls to you, and you go to that closet, and then there's maybe 3 or 4 garment bags. So choose one of those garment bags and put that garment on. Once you get it on, there's a mirror over here, and I want you to look and see, who are you? What are you wearing? And oftentimes you'll be a different person. It's not you. It's like you're looking in the mirror, and then you're going to choose a door, and you're going to go through the door, and where are you in this outfit? And it's really neat. It's just like, it's kind of fun, you know? Yeah, it's just so accessible. It's not like woo-woo and weird. It's not like you have to have certain practices or beliefs. It's just very accessible. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
What other maybe what are any reasons that people might come to you to do this work that we haven't already named that someone wouldn't like immediately think of? Or are there any others you'd want to presence here?
That's a great question. Another reason people may come and choose hypnotherapy is to break blocks around money and receiving and wealth. That's another really powerful one that really ultimately any area of your life that you want change, there's access with this therapy.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
really, any area. You want to bring something new into your life. You want to have a new experience. You want to meet new people. You want to expand something. You want to heal your body.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I mean, if you can think of something that you think maybe, I'm like trying to
I
think.
don't know. I mean, before we started recording, you named so many different things, and I know we haven't talked about them all. And so I was just trying to like think, oh, is there anything else that we want to presence here?
Yeah, I mean, I did mention briefly addictions, smoking or drinking, or it could be relationships, addictions to a certain type of person. Addiction is basically anything that we keep doing that we don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or is harming us, maybe in some way as well.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share here today?
I think mostly just you can just access and learn about the other things that I do from my website, which is nayelihypnotherapy.com. And Amana
Yeah, the link will be in the show notes. Yeah.
yeah, share that information. I offer just consultations to kind of answer any of your questions and concerns, or ahead of scheduling sessions. Yeah, I just look forward to working with new people, and I'm open to doing work with things that I haven't worked with before. So don't hesitate to ask, because I think there's really an endless amount of access here with this work. So
Yeah. Well, how exciting. I can feel your passion for it. I can feel that you have experienced the healing, the profound healing impact yourself, and also witnessed it in others.
I did want to mention one thing. I have a passion about working with kids. I love, love, love working with kids. With kids, it's so much more accessible because they're always so deeply in that kind of imaginative mindset, that it isn't the involved or the extent of what you would an adult would need. So it's like storytelling and sharing and co-creating a story, and the power around kids having access to this therapy is that they then alter and transform those negative core beliefs that we create. And this is something I should have talked about earlier. So, as young children, as we're developing, we are creating our core beliefs about life, about people, about what's safe, about what's not safe, about who we are, how we get love, if we're lovable, how all of those decisions are made at a very, very young age when we're so just malleable. We're very, we'll take it on. The people that we trust, we take their word as the truth. And sometimes that can be damaging. Well, imagine healing that experience as a young child rather than 25, 30 years later. And so creating this kind of clear path to really step into your full expression and your just authenticity and traveling through life, maybe receiving this kind of access to this thing's not working. I don't know why I feel this way, or I'm upset about this, and just working that through and creating a new belief as a young child. It's so inspiring. It's like the transformation of the planet, of humanity. If we had the awareness, right, of like how these shortcomings in some instances, how these beliefs guide us through life and limit us. Wow, like what a beautiful, what a beautiful possibility to create freedom around that at such a young age.
Yeah, that would transform the whole world, wouldn't it?
And there are tools to allow yourself, to continue this work. It's like, yes, there's a lot of power in having space held for us. That was something that drew me to this therapy, because I had been doing so much work on myself for so long. I really needed someone to hold space for me. I knew where I wanted to be, and I just couldn't get over the threshold by myself. I needed that partnership, that safe, sacred space held for me by another. And that's what made all the difference. And so it's just like, but in addition to that, I utilize this knowledge now with myself.
Yeah.
Once you've been in that space, you can recreate it anytime within yourself. You can revisit any session. You can create another one that I do, and I'm kind of extending this on, but
that's awesome.
Other work that I do with people is to connect to guides or higher self or your inner guide. So we'll do a session to connect with that. And you create a space that is a sacred and safe place for you to continue to revisit anytime. Which is just an ongoing tool for you, right? It's like, it's for life. And I think that's, I know that's been my focus through all of the work that I've done for the last 25 years is to give the tools to the people. It's like, here, I can show you the path, but here are the tools, like so that you can access and keep utilizing this knowledge and this freedom. You can keep recreating it for yourself as well. So
yes,
that's a big piece.
That's such an important part. Like, that you don't always just, and the work that you do with people, the work that I do with people, you don't always need me. Like you said, it's good to have that guide in those initial times, and then we give you the tools to then be able to access it in the future on your own.
Yep, keep reaccessing. Yeah. And so any place that you create in that space with me is yours. Like, you carry every experience that you have in that sacred healing space is yours to access anytime. And that's like one of my favorite parts of this. So
love that.
And I wouldn't be complete without saying, one of the biggest pieces for me in the holistic approach that I've created in my life for health is nature. And as hypnotherapy isn't connected directly to nature, like the therapy isn't actually, oftentimes you are in nature in that space. I think because I've done so many different shared so many different modalities of healing, it just naturally kind of blends in with what I do now. And so I'm always, encouraging people to reconnect with nature and spend more time outside and spend more time alone outside and really feeling themselves and their bodies and in themselves and around their surroundings, as well as movement and sound and song. And these are some other things that I've shared and um, over the years, and I continue to just reconnecting with the wholeness of ourselves through movement and through nature and through sound and through connection and um, yeah, and energy. Just coming back to that place and remembering that we are all energy and we are all connected and linked and having access to that, and so really this is just one piece of a full spectrum of the journey of healing and holding and returning and you know living this life to the fullest.
Yes, thank you so much for that beautiful reminder that, yes, I feel the same way about nature and movement and sound. And I love the way that you spoke all of that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to hugging you in the flesh sometime this summer.
Good, me too. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in today to the Heart of the Soul. If you love the podcast, I would be so grateful if you would choose to subscribe, rate, review, or share the show. If you feel aligned with me and my energy and are feeling drawn to unearth your wild inner knowing, birth your baby wild and free, need support navigating the medical system, are feeling stuck in your grief, are curious about receiving an intuitive mediumship reading, or need a safe person to debrief and integrate a traumatic birth experience with, I am here for you. I have walked alongside women and mothers for over a decade, witnessing real healing, change, confidence, and stability be unearthed in them. I believe that women claiming their sovereignty, returning to their own inner knowing, and embodying their wild will truly transform the world. To learn more, book your free clarity call at www.birthingnova.love. Until next time, remember to be brave, be loved, be wild, be you, and be the change that you seek for yourself and also for the generations to come. Mwah.